Well, good morning. Now, this story we tend to take sides, right? Are you Mary? Are you a Martha? But in doing that, we're kind of missing the whole point. This is not a competition. But we love competition, or we wouldn't have so many reality shows about it. We love to pit people against each other for petty reasons. But this story isn't about whether or not Mary is better than Martha, or vice versa. So Jesus travels to a new town, and he partakes of the hospitality of Martha and her sister Mary. Now, this is the very same hospitality that Jesus told his disciples to partake of just a few weeks back when he sent out the 70 disciples. Now, while Jesus is teaching, Mary sits at his feet and listens, which is a very important thing to note, for me anyway, because it shows that Jesus did in fact have female disciples, no matter what you hear. And all the while, Martha is working her behind off in the kitchen or in the wherever, preparing dinner or cleaning up dinner, and she gets so frustrated that she asks Jesus to intervene and order her sister to help. Now, we've all been there, right? Feeling like we are not getting the help that we should be. In Luke, hospitality, both the giving and receiving of it, is a crucial part of Jesus' mission. So when Jesus seems to rebuke Martha and tells her that Mary has chosen the better part, it seems like he's denouncing hospitality. And I say seems because he's certainly not doing that. When the text says that Martha is distracted, the original word in the Greek manuscript, now pardon me because I did not study Greek in seminary. I studied Hebrew, so here we go. The Greek word is perispato. Sure. It's all Greek to me. Okay. Now, this can mean distracted. In modern language, it's translated as distracted, but the connotation behind the word is being pulled or dragged in different directions. Now, that's a much more descriptive word, isn't it? Being pulled or dragged in different directions. Martha's failing here isn't that she wants to extend hospitality, because she does do that. It is that she becomes so distracted by the task at hand that she forgets a key part of hospitality, which is actually paying attention to your guest. You don't invite people over to dinner and then not talk to them all night, right? Well, you shouldn't. You have to balance the manual act of hospitality with the essence of hospitality. So here, Mary and Martha are not against one another. Rather, they are two parts of the same whole. Jesus seems to scold Martha when he says, "Martha, Martha, you're worried and distracted by many things." Sounds like Martha, 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 right? Now, we tend to see this double use of her name in a condescending tone to like a little kid, like there, little one. But I think it's more of an endearing statement. Maybe more aptly he's saying, "My dear Martha," or "Martha, my friend." Because here Jesus expresses to her, there is a time and a place for work, but there's also a time and a place for peace and prayer and learning and being present with God. And in this sense, in this particular time and place, Mary has chosen the better part. Because Jesus would never condemn someone for showing hospitality, and he would never condemn someone for praying. But when all that a person does is either keep busy with work or pray, that's kind of a problem. There has to be a balance between contemplation and action. And Martha worries so much that she drags her guest into a family argument, which is a big no-no, right? And later in Luke, Jesus says, Can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your span of life? And we hear this a lot, but it usually does little to stop our worrying, at least in me. I'm a very big worrier. But our society is a very Martha society. We're taught that we have to work all the time, right? We have to be available all the time. We have our little gadgets and our smartphones that make us available all the time. What about a Sabbath day? A day of rest? Most adults have to work 6 or 7 days a week. And Sunday is the only downtime, the only time they get to spend with their families. I actually deactivated my smartphone and downgraded to a flip phone for this reason. Because I was constantly checking my email, worrying about work, and always available. And then people knew that I was available, so guess what? They would expect me to be there at all hours of the day and night to answer emails. So what does this do to a person? What does this do to our sense of calm, our free time, our prayer time? And I think it ruins it, actually. But not only that, it also ruined my working time and my hospitality time because it became a chore instead of a joy. And that's what's happening with Martha today. Hosting strangers in the ancient world was a sacred duty. It was God's work. But if we get burnt out on the details and the mechanics of it all, we can totally miss God in the situation. It becomes a joyless slog. And if there's no joy in the work of God, why do it? So there's a time for work and a time for prayer, and Jesus would never ask us to choose between the two. This isn't a competition story. We need to have balance. Our prayer life and our studies should guide our actions. Everything we do as Jesus' body in the world needs to be guided by the love of God and the mission of Jesus to spread that love and to make the world better for our neighbors and for ourselves. Once that mission becomes a chore, we've lost our way and need to re-examine our motives. So your homework, that I'm not going to ask you to turn in, but your homework is to look at all the things that we do at church, but also at home, because we're Christians all the time, not just for an hour on Sunday. Why do we do them? How does this action serve God and Jesus' mission? How are we treating our neighbor as we want to be treated? If we examine these questions and remember our true mission and give our lives balance, then we can serve Jesus as Mary and Martha combined. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.